Happy Friday, everybody. I wanted to get some market thoughts and market discussion going with Paul. As you guys know, Paul's been chatting with us from the mortgage side of things. And Paul is, he's been in the mortgage business for a long time, as you know. And I just wanted to do a check-in on Friday afternoon, kind of see, Paul, what's the market been doing this last week? What's the Fed doing? What do we know?
On a local level, Shannon, I think everything's pretty much stayed the same. I mean, rates are relatively good. If you're employed, you can sure you're going to repay a mortgage. You want to buy a home, you can buy a home. We're not seeing a lot of pushback at all. Credit obviously is tightened up, but deals are still getting done. Title companies are still signing. People today, I saw open house signs, so it's opening back up. So
Perfect. So
we cure the virus, everything's good, go back to normal, get outside, go buy a house.
Right. So when you're looking at it, Paul, what are rates today? If I'm a well-qualified buyer with all those disclaimers that you've got to put out there, what am I going to be able to get on a 30-year FHA rate today?
3.25.
You're kidding. I wouldn't loan my brother money at 3.25, and I really like him.
I like your brother, and I won't loan it to him either. So.
That's what he's been saying. Having trouble returning the call. But hey, seriously, Paul, so 3%. So let me ask you this. Let's say I was employed last week and my employer's having trouble and the PPP money hasn't come in. What is that going to do if I have where I was working in February and March, but I took April off and I'm going to be back to work in May? What's that going to look like as far as what they're going to consider as far as my employment? Are they going to consider that a gap?
They're going to consider a gap, but as long as we keep that within 30 days, we'll be good. And part of this is yet to be determined, Shannon. There's so many unknowns right now, and we're getting a lot of information from the Fed, from FHA, FHF, but nothing's been put into policy yet.
Don't you think, Paul, so FHA, IFHA, conventional loans, they all make their money by doing the loan. Don't you think that just thinking about the products and the solutions that they've come out with, don't you think that we will see some sort of a ruling in the next 60 to 90 days that these lending bodies will put something out there that says, hey, if you were unemployed due to COVID, write us a letter, give us an explanation as to how your business was affected by COVID, and we'll take that into consideration when we underwrite this thing?
I think we'll see it sooner than that. I would think
Really?
probably in the next 30 days. It's just
excellent.
Housing is such a big part of our economy and building in general. We've got to get our arms around it. And I know all the agencies are working hard. All the regulatory groups are trying to figure out how to work through it. As lenders and realtors, our associations are actively involved. So there's a lot of seats full at the table trying to resolve this.
That's awesome. Yeah, I do know that there's such a big demand for housing, especially with rates being where they're at. And I know what kind of jobs are created by that. It's really nice to hear that the government is and the lending institution, the bodies are interested in putting that together. Paul, another question that everybody's been asking me that I don't know the answer to. What are we going to see for rates in the next 30 to 60 days?
I think rates are going to remain relatively stable. Like the market always does, they may fluctuate up a little bit. They may come down a little bit. But
when you say a little bit, are you talking about a half a point?
No. I mean, unless something really, really cataclysmic happens. But then if that happens, that may change borrower qualifications. So, I mean, here's the deal, Shannon. You said it earlier. You wouldn't lend money to your brother at 3%. There's got to be.
I do. I like it. I would.
What's that?
I would. But
no, you wouldn't.
3%.
But think about it, guys. I mean, if you're going to go out there and you're going to invest your money in something, does a 3% return over 30 years really sound that attractive? So really. There's got to be an audience to sell these notes to. So,
right.
Will they dip down below 3? There's been talk about it. But if prices continue to go up, you're racing against time and you're not going to win.
What if I'm talking about a half a point or a quarter? Let's talk about a quarter of a point on 100 grand.
Right?
How much money is that a month?
Well, what, quarter on 100 grand at these rates? Yeah, you're probably looking, $6-7 a month.
So if you're looking at 3, waiting for 2.5, you're talking about $30.
Give up your Starbucks.
I think that kind of puts it in perspective, because going the other way,
right,
a year and a half ago, Paul, we were at 5.5. That's a 1.5 point swing the opposite direction. I think people should be excited about getting in on what they can get in on now.
Well, and if you think about it, let's wait 6 months and say rates go down to 2.5. But if prices have gone up another 3 to 5%,
right?
What's that going to do?
Yeah, exactly. So the other thing, Paul, are you seeing any lender qualifications change since COVID started to now?
Yeah, we've seen quite a bit. If you watch the media, you'll see a lot of the larger institutions, your banks, your depositories have tightened up a lot of their requirements as far as credit score requirements, loan to value. I saw just this morning Wells Fargo has stopped taking home equity line applications. But
well, no, we probably need to clarify. They're still taking the loan applications, but they're not giving the loans, because we know how they like to open the accounts.
That's a different. I'm staying away from that one. But the reality of it is, you still have the agencies buying loans. So Fannie and Freddie, HUD's, FHA's buying, Ginnie Mae's buying. So there's outlets for those loans. And if you don't want to work with a bank, which that's your choice, but if you're not a 700, 720 borrower and you've got some blemishes, give me a call.
Yeah. So that's great. So Paul, sum it up for me. What do you think the next 60 days is going to do for our housing market? Stay the same, go up, go down?
I think for the housing market, I think it's going to remain relatively stable. And the reason I say that is, so during this last 30, 45 days, sales have been pretty consistent, but the traffic's been down. The good thing is for some of the builders, maybe they've been able to catch up a little bit.
Yeah.
We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. The problem we still have, guys, we've got more people than we've got homes. So it's simple supply side economics.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So here's what we can do this weekend here in Idaho. The Parade of Homes is supposed to be this weekend. It is. So you can drive up to the house, stay in your car, pull it up on your phone, view it from the outside. When you get done and you love the thing, give Paul a call. He'll give you a loan over the phone. We don't have to. We can do a drive-through closing sometime next week, and we can keep this economy going. So, Paul, I really appreciate you taking the time to stop by and give us a market update on what we're seeing for our lending and what we can look for in the short term. Thanks again, buddy. Have a great weekend, guys.
My friend, have a great weekend.